Appreciate you all joining us. My name is Jackie Young, and I'm leading the San Jacinto River Coalition. I'm also a former community member of Highlands. I lived here for about 10 years. The San Jacinto River Coalition is working towards full removal of the waste pits. You guys should have a packet of information that you received when you came in. There's a quick fact sheet there about the waste pits that we put together. There's a form for you to fill out any of your ideas. Then we'll get into that a little bit later. There's also a health form there. One of the things that we're doing is we're collecting health data on the surrounding communities. So I urge you to please fill out those forms. We will make sure that they get into the hands of the appropriate people, whether it's the state health department, Harris County, the state of Texas, whoever needs to know this type of information so that we can get some help to our community. Also, I would like to thank the San Jacinto River Coalition and my team who have helped me put on this event. I could not do any of this alone. And the Harris County representatives that are here. So first, I want to tell you guys a little bit about where we've been, tell you about where we are right now with the waste pits and where we're headed. We're here tonight specifically to talk about the settlement funds from the Harris County lawsuit. But first, just so we're on the same page, I want to go through the site history very briefly. So what we're going to be talking about tonight, I'm sorry this is not terribly bright, but you will get the idea of what I'm talking about. We're talking about the San Jacinto River Waste Pits. It's a Superfund site that was created in the mid-1960s. And the site specifically the location specifically that I'm going to be talking about tonight is in red, is outlined in red. Now the site in yellow is also part of the Superfund process for the waste pits. Okay, so like I said, mid-1960s, a paper mill company contracted McGinnis Industrial Maintenance Corporation to haul and dispose of their waste. So they dug pits on the bank of the San Jacinto River and brought in their waste via barge and disposed of it. And this is a picture of that taking place. When the pits were full to capacity, the companies walked away. They abandoned the site. In the site is a long list of toxic and nasty chemicals. A list of chemicals that you necessarily probably should not abandon. Anyways, there was not any maintenance on the site, and inevitably it got into the river. And in the site, just to name a few of the chemicals that we're concerned about, there's dioxin, there's furans, mercury, PCBs, and I could go on. But those are the primary contaminants of concern. Dioxin you will hear talked about the most because dioxin is a very toxic and bioaccumulative and persistent chemical, meaning once it's in our environment, it's likely not going to go anywhere in our lifetime. It will stay there, it will persist, it will not degrade in our lifetime, our children's lifetime, grandchildren's lifetime. And it makes its way up the food chain, and it is very toxic at small doses. That's one of the reasons why I mentioned those health forms. We've been trying to get a better idea of the health of these communities for a few years now. It appears that there are high rates of cancers, autoimmune disease, illnesses, particularly some of them are in children, birth defects, things of concern. And we feel that the health of our communities should be studied and figure out if there is a common denominator here, what it is and how we can move forward and solve that. And that's why your health sheets are so important, because we have not had a formal health study on the communities surrounding the river. So like I said, the companies walked away and the site was rediscovered in 2005. And this is what the site looked like when Texas Parks and Wildlife discovered the site. It was literally just like a black sediment going into the river. Many of you probably have stories about how you used to go four-wheeling over there fishing. When they discovered the site, people were literally standing on top of the waste pits. Families were standing and recreating all around the waste pits. The state of Texas says that the San Jacinto River waste pits are one of the largest sources of the dioxin and PCB contamination in our local aquatic ecosystem. So this map that's up right here shows the current fish consumption advisory, and that the fish consumption advisory here is in part to PCBs and dioxin. Most people are unaware of this fish advisory, unfortunately, but women of childbearing age and children should not consume any locally caught seafood, crab, or oysters, and men should consume no more than 8 ounces a month. So this is where we are today. This is what the site looks like today. It has a temporary cap on the site. When it was discovered in 2005, it was such a threat to our environment that the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, required the companies involved with the site to do something. So they constructed this cap. Tons of crushed concrete on top of a geomembrane layer that is supposed to be keeping in the toxic waste. We have had issues with the cap, the temporary cap. Within the first year of construction, there were issues with the cap, with erosion and a small storm event. And we're all very familiar with storms here on the Gulf Coast and hurricanes here that hit our coast more than we would like. And there's flooding, and we've all seen, even if it's just on the news, boats washed up in roadways and yards. And storms have an enormous amount of power and erosive force. And I don't trust that this cap is going to protect our communities from this toxic waste. So that's why the San Jacinto River Coalition is working towards full removal. We would like to see the source removed in the Superfund process. The EPA is currently, and the Army Corps of Engineers are currently reviewing the site, and we're expected to have, the EPA is expected to have a community meeting sometime in September to propose their remedy. So we will all have a chance to come here to the community center and hear how the EPA thinks what the EPA thinks is the best way to deal with the cleanup of this site. So this is a map just to give you an idea. This is a storm surge simulation map, and the various colors correlate to the different categories of hurricanes. The red dotted line is Hurricane Ike, the path of Hurricane Ike. So this is not showing flooding from rain from above. This is river flooding. So this was done by Texas A&M, and this is showing before that cap was in place, potentially where the floodwaters from the river that had washed over the site had gone. Okay, so today we are here to talk about settlement funds and ideas that you guys may have or concerns that you may have about the local environment or public health, and maybe to bring forward some ideas. So I would like to introduce and talk about the settlement before we open up for the forum. Rock Owens from Harris County Attorney's Office. He is the manager of the environmental division for the county, and I just want him to talk to you guys a little bit about the lawsuit that they brought forth and how that lawsuit went and where they're going from here.